Hi, Mitch Holder from Wildwood Guitars in Candyland, Colorado, home of the best of the Gibson guitars. And I have here a guitar. This is a signature guitar. It's based on the 335 of a good friend of mine, Larry Carlton, who I had the pleasure of working with in the studios in LA in the 70s quite a lot before he went solo. And I'm pretty familiar with the 335 that this is based on, that he was playing back then. And this is a really, really close replica of that guitar. So some of the differences, you know, back in the 60s, they were putting trapeze tailpieces on the guitar. And they originally had the stop bar, and for some reason, I'm not even sure why, but they changed it to the trapeze. So one of the things Larry did was he changed out the trapeze and put a stop bar, and you can see for the most part it's a little bit further back from the bridge than you'll normally see on these type of guitars, and I have it that way on my ES-357 that I have, that is in some of the other videos, and that stop bar is back a little bit. And the thing that players you need to remember is that the break angle, meaning how the string comes down off the bridge, is controlled by this stop bar. And a lot of players have the theory that, boy, you want to crank it down all the way down. Well, if the stop bar is really close to the bridge on your guitar, you don't want to do that, because it may cross over the back of this bridge, and it gets this sawing motion when you're bending and pulling, and the strings will have a tendency to break right at the bridge. So in that case, just turn it up a little bit so it clears the bridge the way the string's breaking, and that'll solve that. This guitar, putting it back farther, you could put this stop bar all the way down and it won't touch the back of the bridge. The thing I like about that, and I like about it on my guitar, I have some other guitars that have the stop bar closer, and I like this setup really best because it actually changes the tension a little bit, makes the tension a little bit less tension. It's not so tight. I guess that's about the best word. Also on this guitar we have this bridge. This is called the Nashville tune-o-matic. Originally on these guitars had the ABR1 tune-o-matic, which was the original tune-o-matic bridge. Well, in the 70s they started using what came to be called a Nashville tune-o-matic bridge. It has a little more travel to the saddle, and it also is missing the little wire that used to hold the saddles down, so when you break a string, they won't fall out. I don't care what's on the guitar. I'm not a collector. I don't care about it. I prefer these bridges just because they're so solid. They're so much more solid, and you don't have the wire to deal with. Sometimes it rattles and all of this. And I know you vintage people, don't get mad at me. I understand where you're coming from. But, you know, as a player, well, I want it as pristine and efficient as I can get it. So I would agree with Larry in his choice, putting this bridge on. Okay, so other than that, we've got most of the accoutrements of the 335. And what I noticed on the fingerboard, it's Rosewood fingerboard, the frets, and of course Larry, heaven knows how many sets of frets he's been through on that guitar, but it had been refretted several times. And this is based on his refret. He's got a pretty, I wouldn't say the tallest fret wire that there is, but a tall medium, I'd say. And it's real good for got a real smooth bend. The sustain's real nice, and the frets go all the way to the fret edge. I know sometimes when I'm playing, some of the guitars if the fret's not far enough, you get that kind of thing. And sometimes if depending on how this neck is set up, I have guitars I'll do that. I really got to think about it, otherwise I'm doing this all the time. So on this guitar, the chances of that happening are slim to none, because the fret goes all the way to the edges of the fret of the fingerboard. Okay, now this particular guitar, normally they come with Kluson tulip. I guess tulip, sometimes people use that to describe the buttons. These are Schallers, which a lot of players would change out to Grover, Schallers, etc. Larry went to the M6 Schaller keys, And this doesn't have the tulip-shaped Gibson that the tuners do now. It has the stock-shaped shallers that they were making back at the beginning. So those are replaced. And on the nut, he's got a graphite, chose to put a graphite nut on there. And graphite really is, it's the smoothest material for bending. It has less of a tendency to bind up in the nut when you're bending, so it makes for a good material. And I would venture, I guess, Larry does just a little bit of bending. How many times have we heard that? Okay, on the material side, we've got a one-piece mahogany neck, and in the 60s they were making them slim taper, and that's what this one is. It's got a maple top and back. It's not figured. It's a plain maple, and that's what you'd see most of the time on the production models, is a plain maple, and this one has that on the top as well. It's got a little bit of figure, which some of them will have, and it's a really nice look. So a lot of times, you know, yeah, figure's a nice thing, and but it's always nice to have a choice. And in my guitars, I have quite a few guitars for studio work and my own personal playing. Some of them are figured, some of them aren't. Do I like one over the other? No, they each have their own little characteristic attraction, and it, you know, figure's fine and no figure's fine. So that all works. Okay, on the pickup side, we've got 57 Classics. And let's see, what else? Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Okay, so let's talk about the sound of the pickups. On the neck pickup, let's see. So it's got a nice fat sound for single string. Nice. So I got everything on 10. If it wasn't dark enough, rather than go in the amp, I'll turn the tone control down. Say I wanted a real like Wes Montgomery. You get a nice Wes. Nice sound. So thing about these guitars, they're really, really versatile. You can use them for a lot of different types of music. Distortion. Let's see, who plays those kind of licks? I couldn't tell you, boy. So yeah, so if you get a Larry Carlton, can you sound like Larry Carlton? Well, I can't, but maybe you can. All right. All right, so let's go to the two pickups, neck and bridge. And that makes a really nice rhythm sound. So maybe that's a little dark, so we'll back off the neck pickup. I usually start at around 8 and see where I am. So that's brighter, that's plenty bright. Maybe I want a little darker. So that's what the bridge pickup turned down a little bit. Distorted, a lot of players don't like to use distortion on both pickups, but it can work. Let's try the chunk thing. So again, you know, I've done this before. I use this a lot to find out what's going on. This frequency is usually going to be fine, the 5th. When I flat the 5, that's when sometimes you'll get these warbling frequencies, and that's the way to tell what's going on. Again, I'm not getting any of that. Everything's really, really smooth, so it works. If we want a little darker, can again roll off the bridge pickup. That gives a little darker sound. We can do the other way. Let's get it a little brighter. So there's a lot you can do just with volume controls. Volume controls can make or break your sound. Okay, so now let's go to the bridge pickup. Bridge pickup again. Boy, I'll go to that. If I need a real crispy rhythm sound, funk, even backbeats, something, I don't know if players do it much anymore, but you know when you're contrast. So, I'll try it on a neck pickup. Nope. So, got to have that sound. So, this is a real bright, crispy. All right, bright sound. Overdrive. Yeah, it's got a nice, boy, it's got a nice body, single string. Okay, so that's the Larry Carlton signature. The color, by the way, it's called Carlton Burst. It's based on Larry's Iced Tea, which is what they used to call the Sunburst in the late 60s. And beautiful guitar, and try it out.